Hello there everyone, and this is Rackets96 here with another Nerf tutorial. Today's tutorial is how to make cardboard holsters for Nerf magazines. These can be made for 12 mags and 18 mags, as well as you can also, if you really wanted to, flip over a drum and totally do it that way if you feel like it. But I will be showing you how to make them for your 18 round stick mags. I will actually be using a Stampede mag right there, orange on both sides, because I have a lot of these, and this is what I personally use on my Nerf loadout. This was my prototype for my original set, but I have a feeling I will be dropping the 12s. Sorry about that. The setup I have for the 12s and making more for the 18s. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So in doing this, we're going to need a couple things. One, you're going to need an 18 round straight mag. Two, you're going to need cardboard. For this, I will be using a Priority Mail flat rate box, about medium sized, or sorry, it's actually large. You can see that now, large flat rate box. Definitely not large in my book. So we're definitely going to need something with that. We're going to need normal scissors, duct tape, any color. This just so happens to be blue. I'll probably be using some accents in black. We're definitely going to need a hot glue gun. And I'm going to be doing a plastic sheet. If you can get you, there's a little bit of a reflection so you can see it's here. This will be the bottom cover for the magazines. So to get started, the large flat rate boxes are wonderful when making Nerf magazines. So 4 corners, clearly, because it's a box. So what I do personally is I take my razor knife or any kind of hobby knife and I cut, show you up a little closer here, right here. I follow this line down and I cut right down the middle. I don't know if I can do this without looking at it. It doesn't necessarily have to be perfectly straight, and yes, I am moving my camera mount. Right about there. So now the system is free, and you're going to want to go ahead and do that on both sides. It's actually going to work wonderful because I have the edge of the box over here. So I should be able to get a decently straight line. And there we go. Now if you plan on making more than one, go right ahead. For this video, I will only be making one. And maybe pause, make another one, and then show you how to fasten them together. So at this point, if you have any overlap like that, you're just going to take your scissors. I am left-handed, so this looks a little unorthodox. I guess I have no choice. And there we go. Now we are left with the one panel for the box. Now how I usually do this is I lay this flat on my table. Doesn't matter which side you put out, because at least in this tutorial you can do it however you want. I'm going to be wrapping the outside in duct tape. So how I do this is I get my magazine out. Okay, and I put this ridge right here. See how it sticks out right there? Goes around the whole thing. I do that on the flat side, right there. So it locks in completely. It can also be done this way, laying flat. But then again, you're going to have a little bit of an inconsistency because of your sides. So personally, I do it this way. Now, what you're going to want to do is get a black Sharpie. Black Sharpie, or any color Sharpie, doesn't really matter. You're going to draw a decently accurate stencil for your magazine, so you kind of have some idea how long things have to be. So there we go. There is my line trace. Now you can see right here there is the bulge because of the 18 round bulge there. That's going to be nice and easy, so I'm not going to have to worry about that. I'm just going to carry that line down down to there, and then we'll start with the wrapping. This is more me doing than showing. You can definitely see me doing it, which I think is a little bit helpful. Once you have that sketch, I just use the magazine itself, because now you're going to want to draw your lines across the bottom, so you have a very consistent line for the bottom of the magazine, or the bottom of the mag holster. And there we go. That is the line drawn right there. You can barely see it. Should have done this on the other side. There you go. So that's that line there. Now how you're going to get the dimensions for the other sides is there's two ways to do this. You can either hold the magazine on its side a decent amount away from the line, which is the way I did it, and the way I will do it again. Take your Sharpie, make your line, and then that's going to be your joint. So what you're going to want to do next is still leave adequate space on either side, because this is going to have to, basically, that's going to be your edge, and it's going to have to wrap around to the other side. So what you want to do then is the same thing we did in the beginning. Leave enough space, and that's going to be perfect. These flat rate boxes, I don't know if, it's totally not intended, but they are the perfect size to line up where the end of this magazine is going to go, and it's going to literally be perfectly flush. So then you're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Granted, you're going to want to keep your magazine facing the same way. So for me, the nub on my magazine is to my left, because, well, you guys are looking at me. So in doing so, I'm going to keep this whole thing completely uniform, and keeping just a little bit away from my original line, so there is a little bit of room for error. With that being said, we're literally the perfect size. Again, this literally makes life so much easier than getting a massive sheet of cardboard or a bigger box and trying to cut it down to the right size, because I can make two of these out of the same flat rate box and then glue them together, duct tape them, and look at that, I have another two 18 rig. So at this point, you are going to either, there is your mag setup. You're either going to cut here with a razor blade, scissors, or however you want to do it, or while you're at it, you can trace what you're going to do on the other half, which I am going to do right now. Oh, you know what, I won't, because it's easy enough for me to do. Going to use my razor blade here, and I will leave room beyond my my Sharpie line, because my Sharpie line is the bottom of my magazine. I definitely want to be able to have some play if I need it. I do have the overlap on the box here. So then when you do that, you're going to basically, you can either hold on to this or toss it to the side. And now basically you have a stencil for where you're going to apply your cuts. So now I am going to do this the way I did everything else. You're just going to, where your Sharpie lines are, you're just going to cut there. We'll do that now. Light cut, definitely not all the way through, but definitely enough to score the top layer of cardboard. I'm going to put these straight through the center of my lines and try and make my lines a little bit straighter than they are now, because you're not going to be able to see the Sharpie marks, that's for sure. And it doesn't matter if your lines are not perfect, because this cardboard, once you have cut it like this, will bend a little bit. And I did actually go through it right there. So, and with that, you are now going to be able to flex your cardboard. There we go. There is that one. And there is that one. So now they all move freely, and that is pretty much going to be the design. So now what you want to do is make sure this is going to fit, because we can always make it a little bit more loose, but if it's not like that, you'll have a problem. So right there, that's way too tight. I actually have to pull apart. So there's an easy way to fix that. You go on into the bend you think is the problem, and I know exactly which one it is. I did not score it all the way. It's giving me a very sloppy line. So that, right there, and then that there, and that there, might fix our problem, and it does not. So this is just a proof of concept here that this is not just something you whip up real quick unless you've done it before. And that side, that's going to be perfect. So there you go. You just got to mess with it a little bit. So now what you're going to want to do is, you can see here, I can move this top layer of cardboard. If you don't like right there, that's really easy to pull in and out. Push a little tighter. Now it's a tighter of a pull. This is where you have to make a judgment call on how tight you want this to be. So I am going to keep it right about there. What you're going to do is, or for someone like me, I'm just going to draw a line where I want my cardboard to line up. I'm going to go ahead and take my hot glue gun. Please be careful with your hot glue gun. Place a row of hot glue just like so. Now guys, hot glue is clearly hot. Line my cardboard back up, and you're going to want to hold it for a few seconds. Kind of the boring part, but it does take the hot glue a few seconds to dry, and then once it does, you kind of just let it go on its own. Now that is a nice and easy pull there. And there is actually a reason I am doing this, is once you have this hot glued, you're more than open to finding the proper fit. That's a little too snug for my taste. That's perfect. And then with this hot glue, it is now perfectly set for the duct tape wrap. And with the duct tape wrap, you're going to have to come up with your colors. I pretty much do, well, this one will be all blue, but in my last one I did black with blue accents, because I'm a black and blue kind of guy. So you're going to want to get your duct tape out. But before we do that, this is a optional point where you're going to want to remove your magazine. So I do not forget which way I had this. You're going to take any kind of metal or plastic sheet. Again, this is completely optional. This is just how I do it. And I'm going to create a plastic bottom. And in creating this plastic bottom, I am making sure that I just frickin' Sharpied myself. I am in turn making sure when I put a magazine in this, I'm not worried about it going all the way through, because it's made specifically for the top ridge on the magazine. I don't know if I do have a mag blaster around here. It's made for the spot that will lock into the ridge. I cannot show you that on the Mark II, because the Mark II is crap and cannot use 18-round straight mags. So if you're following me here, you're going to now use your scissors and cut out your trace. I'm going to make this a little bit more of a straighter cut, because it doesn't matter if you follow your lines, because your cardboard is decently thick. I always like reusing big chunks of plastic. You never know when you're going to need it. Make more covers. Viro blades, ray shield armor. And then you're just going to continue that. Granted, this is just a rough how-to. And once you have that, you're just going to fasten that on there, and you will have some overlaps because no one is perfect, especially not moi. Cut that off. And that should be decently ready to go. Next thing you're going to do, if you are doing this step, put hot glue all around the cardboard here, and then place your plastic plate on it. Now you will have overlaps, and that is something nice and easy to take care of with your scissors or with your knives. You can just go on in there and trim up what you have to trim up. Put some more hot glue in if you don't like the way it bonded. I'm liking it. It is completely flush. That's a first. usually have to come in and add more hot glue. And I'm just going to come in, cut off that corner, cut off that corner, cut a chunk off of that side. Now that is the perfect size to make sure. We can still slide our magazine in and out. That just really sets in the set size. So now when we go ahead and do our duct taping, we don't have to worry about squishing the mag holder. So here we go. Like I said, it does not matter on the color of duct tape you use. This is probably going to be a 20-minute video, if not a little longer. I'll try and speed this up for you a little bit. I'm just going to do a few wraps, and then I will come back to you with the close to finished product. So what we're going to do here is, just to start it, I'm going to start at the bottom. You're just going to put this on like so. I'm just going to start at the corner here. So once you have that, it's kind of simple. Whatever design you want, if you want to switch colors on your way up, totally cool. And you're going to want to make sure you do this pretty tight. Otherwise, it's going to look messy and dirty, and it's going to look like you've rushed. And if you're going to be using something, you want it to be durable. You don't want it to look like you rushed through it. So there's one wrap right there. Pretty clean. I'm going to cut to the close to finished product, and I'll pick you up then. Alrighty guys, and here we are with the duct tape wrap. Left everything but the top. Also made another one while I was at it, because this will be a dual 18, as I mentioned in the video. This is just to show you how I fasten these to my waist, as you guys saw in that loadout video. There will be an update video out after this with a little bit more information about why my channel has been a little slow lately, and what to expect in the next few weeks / next month and a half. So that is nice and easy. Duct tape up. This is the elastic I use for it. Same elastic right here that I used when making the original mag holder. This elastic I do not have any more of. Otherwise, I would be fastening it, but these will definitely need it in due time. It's actually that's going to work perfectly, because one's off center one way and one's off center another way. Although they're both going to be off center in different ways. So which one am I gonna? That's clearly a bottom. So if it's going to work, it's going to have to go this way, right? Because that's essentially, why isn't this going in? Essentially a back. And that's essentially a back. Okay, yes. So that's a little bit of a fault when doing this. You get a little bit of a separation in the cardboard. So just come on in with your hot glue gun. I did this on the other one, but this is the first one. And just put a bead in there. Again, don't play with hot glue if you're not used to it. I very thick skin and a low sensitivity to any kind of heat, so it does not bother me whatsoever. So that should make that a lot easier now. There we go. Now that looks really, really, really weird and something I should not be doing, but that actually helps make marks on the inside of the cardboard to where the magazine's going to be sitting all the time. And now for the belt attaching. Now I do have the original here. So when I get these two sitting on these sides, when I get these two sitting here properly, I'm going to see exactly where I have it on these and how far apart. So immediately I'm going to take my hot glue gun, put a bead of hot glue on one end to start. So I can get this gapping right here. So I'm going to put this right there. Now, if one's too high and one's too low, that's no problem. That is adjustable to a degree. Put the second bead of hot glue on. And then I'm just going to carry these across kind of decently spaced because I'm only using 3 as I did on the original and the 12s. And there we go. Those are now, the hot glue is now drying on them. So I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to do reverse of what I did on the other one. I'm going to do black to go around the, you can see I did it there to fasten the two together. I did blue, and then to hold the them on, I also did blue. I'm going to do that in reverse. I think that's going to be something a little different, and definitely something, something different and a little bit of different color contrast on my waist, because these two, now that I'm thinking about it, these two might be sitting side by side, kind of like so on my waist, and I might still have the 12 now that I'm looking at this. I'm liking the way the 12 is too. I'm also I really love the way these turned out. So now that that is semi-dry, I'm going to go ahead and skip one step. I'm going to go ahead and fasten these together. Where you're going to use a lot of hot glue if you made to. Otherwise, you do not have to do this. You can do any kind of detailing you want, and I'm just going to line the two of these up and then just push them together. No recommended hold time, just until, right now it's still kind of wet, so I'm just going to push on the, right there. Go. And then once that is done, what I also do, I learned my lesson on the other one, is I also, ooh, got a lot of hot glue dripping off here. Oh, that's hot. Yeah, that one's hot. I learned this from doing the 218s, a little bit more sturdy, is to just put a bead of hot glue, or a row of hot glue, on the bottom by the plastic plates, if you chose to do the plastic plates. This is why I do it, 1, to create a base, and 2, so you can get a nice strip of hot glue there. Really fasten that up. I'll probably have a blister there in the morning, but what can you do? Maybe over there too. And then once that is done, once that is dry, I'm just going to come in with my black duct tape, and we are almost done here. That is more than enough. I don't know, I'm going around 2, so I always have a habit of over-judging how much duct tape I'm going to need. So I'll start this right there. Still can change it right there. Put me flush at the top. What you're going to want to do is, when doing this, you're not going to want to just lay it straight across like so. You're going to want to individually place it in between whatever kind of fasteners you are using, whether you're going to attach these to a belt rig like me, you're going to do this in your own way. I always recommend putting as much hot glue and duct tape as you need, because I rather do it once than have to take it off and correct the problem. And when, especially if you're doing 2, when going over the seam here, you also don't want to bridge it like that. You want to get it into the seam a little bit, because that's going to hold both mags nice and tight at the same stress point and keep them mashed up. And then, see, I have way too much. I have to go back around here, do the same thing like so. And then in these joints here, you really want to just go to town, like the back of an X-Acto or a screwdriver, and really make sure there's good points of contact, because you don't want these to be able to flex. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other one, and I'm going to cut to that because you guys don't want to watch this. Alrighty guys, and here we have the finished product signed. You can barely see it, but that is Silver Sharpie. The system in the back there, perfectly fine. You can easily slide them in and out. A little bit of a tighter fit than I would have liked, but that is because of the duct tape wrap, by wrapping them together. Now the original has seen some wear and tear, but now that I think about it, actually, that's about, once this wears down, it's going to be perfect. So now this last segment is just going to show you, this is how I personally fasten these. I just use my normal belt. You guys saw it in the loadout video. What fun is a loadout video? Because I don't go over everything individually as much as I should. So that slides across there, and now that I'm looking at what I did there, I'm definitely going to have to do it over here. This I made a lot better of a fit on the elastic, completely by accident, but totally glad that I did, because this fits wonderful. Like, this literally cannot fit any better. And then there you have it. This is exactly how they're going to sit, side by side, belt going through one, belt going through the other. The only thing I would recommend is right under here. You're going to see how that's separate a little bit. The only thing I recommend doing is getting in here with hot glue underneath your duct tape. If you didn't get the, that's a hot tip. If you didn't get the exact seal you'd like out of your duct tape, I just recommend going back and doing this anyway, because it works for me, and if it works for me, it's definitely going to work for you guys, unless you stopped watching this video about halfway through and said that is completely outrageous. But I don't like spending a lot of money on Nerf gear, especially if it's something I can personally make myself. And mag holders, as to this video, I can clearly make them myself. It is not a question of how, when, or why. It is a question of I do not feel like going out and buying a Molly vest or any of their pouches or anything like that. I feel that is a great idea for someone who is hardcore Nerf and hardcore Nerfs all the time. I don't Nerf a lot. I have more fun just playing around these days than actually going to wars. And unfortunately, my channel has taken a little bit of a dive from that. Thank you guys very much for watching. That is the 27-minute video, almost 28, on how to make custom mag holders. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in my update video.